Hey, good morning. Good morning. So, another episode of the Advantage Live Show. I am your host, Adam Gullett with Century 21 Advantage Realty, and I'm joined with my co-host,
Jane Polipchak. Hi, good morning, everyone.
Welcome to another show, guys. We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to keep rolling in here as we get going. It's going to be a good show. We've got a lot of good things coming up. We've got the typical real estate news we're going to be going over. It's a report about housing demand. We got another one that's going to be about from the Motley Fool. It's going to be the average mortgage amounts reaches a record high. So that'd be a good little article. And also CEOs are much more upbeat about U.S. economy. So that's cool. We also got a special guest with us, Mark Healey, Recruitment Director at Century 21 Dreams Incorporated up in Ontario, Canada, right outside of Toronto. He'll be on as well. And we've also got a special agent here to come into the agent spotlight, Kathy Jones. So it's going to be a great show. Jane, are you excited?
I can't wait.
It's going to be good. So, guys, we got a little bit of information we're going to drop out there before we get started with the actual show. So right now, if you guys want to leave us some comments, say hi, say hi to us or whatever. We'll throw you guys up on the screen when you guys come in. We'll do something like this right there. So be sure to leave us some comments. We'd love to have you part of the show. Ask us questions as much as you want. At the end of each segment, we'll have a Q&A segment there for you guys to ask any questions you want. The only thing I ask is that when you do, you put in the comments with all caps questions, followed by your question. That way we know to see that and we can answer it easier that way. And also, be sure to, if you're watching this on the replay, that's the thing. This is going to be a recording. So if you're watching this on the replay, be sure to put in put hashtag team replay in the comments. That way we know that you watched it after the live show. And that'll help us be able to track where our viewers are coming from. So again, we are very excited to be here. And one last bit of information is if you have not watched the live show from last week, this is our second episode, type new in the comments and let us know that you have not been here before, because we like to recognize you guys. So if you were not able to watch it last week, put new in the comments and we'll throw you up on the screen. And in the meantime, we'll just kind of give a little bit more time here. Oh, we got there. I know this guy.
Good morning, Denver.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get on with this show here. We got people rolling in, so we're going to grow forward with it here. So here we go. Hello, welcome to another Advantage Live show. I am your co-host, Adam Gullett, Director of Growth with Century 21 Advantage Realty, and I'm joined with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Jane Polipchak, and I'm the coach for the Richmond office and the trainer for all of our offices. Good morning, everyone.
Awesome. It's so great to see you guys and have you guys part of this show. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section, followed with a question if you have a question for us, with the question followed afterwards. If you're watching this on the replay, type in hashtag team replay and we'll throw that up there. If you're new and not been here before, please type in new in the comments and we'd like to recognize you guys as just now being here. So welcome to the show. Today, we got a great show planned for you guys. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of what that is. We got a couple segments. We got the traditional one, the real estate news. So we've got one that says housing demand likely to remain high due to missing households. Another one is according to an article on the Motley Fool. If you don't follow that group, if you're into investing at all, check them out. They have some great stock options. But they had a very interesting article. It's called the average, or they said it was the average mortgage amount reaches a record high. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. And then the third article we're going to go over is the CEOs are much more upbeat about U.S. economy. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. We have a special guest with us. I'm excited about this one. It's Mark Healey, Recruitment Director at Century 21 Dreams Inc. in Ontario, Canada, right outside of Toronto. So he's going to be on the show. That'll be great. We'll have a little bit of a weekly real estate report talking about what's going on in the economy the past week, and also a special spotlight with Kathy Jones, one of our agents out of the London office. Jane, I know that was a mouthful, so
Yeah, we're packed full of stuff.
We really are. So, but I'm pretty excited about this. It's really fun to be able to come in here and do this show. It's a good way for us to get out there and show you guys what's going on in the market, maybe educate you guys a little bit about what's going on, but also just to provide some kind of value back to our agents and the other agents out there as well as the consumer. So I know, Jane, you and I work hard to get this together, but we're excited about this.
We are.
This is great. So Kay Hudson just said this. She is one of our agents there in Somerset, and she runs our Accelerate training class, and that is a course that our agents go through to basically develop their skills. And they just graduated 6 agents out of that class this morning. So big shout out to the graduates there. So good job, guys. Well to dedicate yourself to the job and education.
That's awesome. I've talked to several agents who were in her class and they all rave about it. They really love it. So if you get an opportunity to take that, it's a great class.
I would agree. I think there's a lot of value there. I can't say enough about how great that class is. And Steve is watching. He said, "Hey, Adam and Jane, we are watching from the Somerset office with our Accelerate Live graduating class. Good luck for a great show." Thank you, Steve. Hello, Accelerate graduates. Glad to have you guys watching.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to get through that class. Everyone who graduated, really put in a lot of effort.
They really do. And really, it kind of puts you out of your comfort zone just a little bit. But that's kind of the point, right? I mean, it's doing something a little bit difficult every day to grow your skill and develop that. So it's good to see them doing that. I'm proud of each and every one of them to do that.
Me too. Yeah. Those classes are great because you have the accountability and you have support from the other people in the class. It's just a good environment.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, let's get on to the first segment here. Let's go into the real estate news. All right, so we're going to begin this segment off with an article that appeared in Reece Media, and it was a Zillow report that they actually came out with. So I'm going to read a little excerpts from this and give a little bit of commentary as well as Jane, and we'll just kind of discuss this real quick. But in the article by Reece Media, they said something interesting that provides some more insight into home shortages. The current market, and this is what they said in the article, Jane. They said the current market environment has increased demand for housing. And that may not be going away for a while. And according to a new Zillow report, low rates of household formation since the Great Recession have caused 5.7 million, and they're quotes, missing households. These households represented people who historically would have moved into their own home, but have been unable to do so. And so the market is still catching up to these gaps. And it went on to say this could point to a changing trends as fewer Americans across all age groups and ethnicities are forming households instead of continuing to live with their parents into adulthood or renting with roommates and or partners. So that's kind of what that article said. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think with our first-time home buyers, we've had a lot of them that want to purchase a home right now, but they're unable to find them. And the prices of the homes that they typically would start looking at are just not available at all. Homes that were selling for much less 6 months ago, 8 months ago, or a year ago have just continually been climbing up.
Yeah, I would agree. Matter of fact, Lawrence Young was, I think it was NAR that had a conference about the economic outlook. And Lawrence Young, the chief economic advisor for the National Association of Realtors, was actually asked a similar kind of question to this. And he went on to say, he said, basically, we assumed that it was like this pent up demand. And he actually made it sound like it's more of a trend, which, pent up demand kind of peaks and hits a major point. Yeah, plateau, and then it starts kind of going down. A trend is something that continues for a longer period of time. So he had said that it's, he's looking at over the next 2 to 3 years, this kind of being more of the trend. So I think that's where this report is kind of reflecting on that. I think it's reflecting that, look, there's a home shortage, and then that goes back into like the home building industry, right? I mean, we see the increase in prices.
Yeah, well, and the supplies, building supplies are so much more expensive now that not as many builders are building new homes. So there's a shortage there as well.
Yep, there really is. I mean, interest rates are low. I mean, there's no doubt. So obviously that makes people want to buy more. Then there's not enough homes for people to buy. And then the builders not having the ability to be able to acquire the goods at a price that helps them to maintain profitability. So we're going to have to see some adjustment in the market, obviously, over the next course of the year or so to see what happens. But, we'll see what happens there. The next one, the average mortgage amount reaches a record high. So I kind of thought this was interesting. This was an article by the Motley Fool. It's a blog that provides really good financial advice if you're wanting to get into kind of stock investments. But this particular post was more about home prices and what effect they would have on buyers. And then this is kind of what it said. It said Americans are borrowing more money than ever to buy homes. The average home purchase mortgage amount reached $375,000 last week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. That's the highest number since they began their survey in 1990. They said limited housing inventory and low mortgage rates have driven home prices up, and today's buyers need higher mortgages to compensate. But stretching yourself to take on a higher mortgage than you're comfortable with could have serious consequences.
Yeah, we saw that in years past where, people kind of purchased homes when the market was really high and then they had difficulty and it led to foreclosures. And yeah, people really need to kind of find that information out ahead of time, talk with their mortgage person, know what their payments are going to be.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think, a home purchase is very expensive. There's a lot of associated with it. There's a lot of upside, but it does require an education on your finances. I mean, you really got to
Yeah.
take a moment and look at that and see what you can afford to do, and don't just buy because you have to buy. I think as real estate agents, it's our duty to advise our clients correctly in that process. And yes, we want to make sales, but in the end, we're representing our consumer and our clients well. And so that's where I have the value of a realtor coming into that equation. A good realtor is going to advise you correctly in that endeavor. And, I think that's what really provides the value back to the real estate agent.
Yeah, and I think, people need to be conscious. Some of our first time home buyers are maybe moving out of their family home and they're not accustomed to their regular bills, utility bills or things. If it's their first time away from their parents' house, that, you have to take all of that into consideration.
Yep. Yep. That's right. And I mean, and then even figuring into the mortgage, making sure that you understand that the total cost involved, right? Property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, looking at all of that. And again, that's where a good real estate agent is going to come alongside you and help you with that.
Yeah.
So I'll add right now, guys, if you guys have any comments on any of this, what we're talking about, feel free to drop it in the comments. Last article before we move on to the next segment is CEOs are much more upbeat about a U.S. economy. So I thought this was good. This was from marketwatch.com. So it's pretty good. They said that more than 40% expect business conditions to recover to pre-COVID-19 levels in 2021. The CEOs of America's biggest companies are much more upbeat about the prospects for the U.S. economy, according to a quarterly survey from the Business Roundtable released Monday. What do you think, Jane?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot business has changed quite a bit. A lot of people are seeing that their employees can work from home. The environment is changing, but it seems as though those businesses are still going strong. So there is a positive outlook for that.
Yeah. And I do agree. I think what's ended up happening, right? I mean, throughout 2020, all these industries got hit in a very weird way, a way they've
Yeah.
never been hit before. And I know in the real estate market, we've had to make some really big adaptations, right? And so now we're looking at that across all industries. And that kind of takes time to make those adjustments. So even if 2021 still has COVID type scenarios involved, these businesses have made adaptations inside of their business and their systems and processes to help them address those problems. So I think that's where this article is kind of going. I think they've got these systems in place, and that's the reflection of that, why the CEOs are pretty optimistic about the economy recovering.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's true with everything. If the flexibility is there and you to problem solve, we've seen that in our own agents. We've really had to change the way we do things, but we've been able to carry on and do really well in a different environment.
Yeah, yep. I think that's great. And I have to say, I'm actually proud of each one of our agents for that. The
I
way
am
they've
too.
worked, it's amazing. And all realtors in general, I mean, we really came alongside each other and worked hard. We worked hard for our consumers and the people we serve, our offices and friends and family. We are
Yeah,
definitely essential.
and a lot of them, that some of the things they were doing were not familiar, with the Zoom meetings or the virtual tours and learning the technology, and they just rolled right with it and did really well.
They really did. All right. Awesome. Well, that's the news we have for you guys today. So now we're going to move on to segment number 2. It's our special guest. So here we go. All right. So I'm pretty excited about this. So I've got to know Mark Healey from a class that I took with Century 21 Corporate. And Mark is a great guy. He is just personable. He understands the agents that he serves. And just to kind of tell you, he is the RPR Director of Recruitment of Century 21 Dreams Incorporated in Ontario, Canada, and he's right outside of Toronto. So he's going to come to the show. We're going to ask him some questions. Feel free to leave, ask him any question at the end of the interview and pick his brain, because I'm telling you what, he's got a story and he's got some good information. So let's bring him in right now into the show. Mark, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, Jane. It's great to be here.
Hey, Mark.
So
we're excited to have you.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show, man.
Thank you.
So, Mark, before we get into anything else, just give us a quick little bio of yourself, kind of your story, and that way our audience knows who Mark is.
Well, I know you know some stuff, but I've been in the real estate industry now for 10 years from more of an administration background, and I've taken on the role of recruitment here, which has actually been very, very exciting. It doesn't feel like a job to me. I mean, I talk to all kinds of people every day, everywhere I go, whether it's in a store or whether it's in an Uber or whatever. I meet all kinds of people who are thankfully interested in real estate and have gone ahead and taken their courses, have successfully passed, and some, on all accounts, have joined our brokerage. So right now, even through COVID, it's been a really, really exciting time for us, indeed.
Yeah, that's awesome, buddy. Well, you're awesome, man. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.
So, but now, before we even get into the questions, I got one more thing I want to bring up. There's an interesting side to Mark that I have found very fascinating, and I'm going to have him speak on that for just a second. So he's got a little side gig that he does. And Mark, what is it that you do, my friend?
Well, aside from, having a few hobbies here and there, and I think since COVID, I think it's prompted me to do some things outside of work, and that was to obviously create a podcast and to narrate audiobooks. I have a creative side. It's something that I've had throughout most of my life, and most of it, I guess, is having to use the skill of my voice, whether it's recruiting and talking to people or having a story to tell. So why not use my creative side and start a podcast, because I enjoy talking to people. I'm a storyteller as well, and I love sharing either my experiences or other people's experiences to the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've actually listened to his podcast. It's really good, and the cool thing about it is and I do appreciate this, Mark, is they're not like 20-minute podcasts.
Yes.
Right. So you can sit down and listen to this. It's like 2 to 3 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah. I woke up one morning and I thought, I'll do this. I thought, how could I make this unique? Because I think that's how people stand out. I think that's how a podcast can stand out, is by making something that's never occurred before. So I thought, I'll make it brief. I'll make it short. We know that everybody's busy. Even during COVID, people have things to do. They have places to go. So why not create something that's entertaining and very, very short? That way, it's enough time to listen to so they can get on with their day, or even something to listen to at night. And at the same token, make it entertaining and maybe even inspiring as well.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller. It's amazing how much he packs into just a little bit of window. So it's really cool, Mark. As a matter of fact, he's got a story on there about Kentucky, a missing city or something. So check that one out.
Yeah. It was interesting. And I had to bring this to your attention, Adam, because it's more of an urban legend where they focus on a small town called Edmonton, Kentucky. Now, I know that Edmonton County exists. So I've gone ahead and done my research, and it was basically about a small town with 242 people that mysteriously disappeared overnight during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And don't know where these people went. So I remember airing this on my podcast, and it actually it basically contracted a lot of interest. I had a lot of people ask me questions. Well, did this really happen? What do you think? And I said, well, I think it's more or less an urban legend, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It was an interesting story, and I think people love hearing interesting stories. It kind of takes away a bit of an escape from what's going on in the world. And this is all I've ever wanted to create, is an entertainment platform, so to speak.
Well done.
So Mark, if an agent or someone was looking for your podcast, are they able to just search your name, or what's the name of the podcast?
Yeah, the name of the podcast is called Mark My Words, and obviously that adds a bit of a ring to it. I just woke up one morning, thought I'll call it Mark My Words, and it's basically titled a 2-minute podcast. And the episodes are roughly between 2 and 3 minutes long. I try to not let it surpass 3 minutes because on some of the episodes now ads have been appearing, so you can actually find it on Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And again, it's called Mark My Words, a 2-minute podcast. Very easy to find.
Awesome. That's great. All right, Jane, there we go. We got the entertainment stuff done. Let's go ahead and get to these questions. We're just going to pick Mark's brain.
I'm ready.
So Mark, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Well, it's interesting because, the one thing that sticks in my head, and I remember a long time ago when I was actually doing inside sales, and I remember when webinars were in its infancy stage, and I remember listening to a webinar and the host had said, if you can't remember anything else, remember these 2 things. And that was basically in order to be successful, talk to lots of people and be very nice. Sounds basic and sounds very rudimentary, but you know what? It's true and it works. And that's the best way. If I can give anybody advice in order to make connections with people, it's to talk to anybody. It may seem a little embarrassing at first, but you know what? Everybody kind of is in the same in the same shoes. I think people need to approach each other, start a conversation, even if it starts with the weather. And then you can kind of delve and say, what do you do? What do you do? And this is where basically real estate comes in. When you give a little bit of information about yourself, and then a conversation ensues. And I've known that throughout my career, this has worked very, very, very successfully in terms of talking to people and just being simply nice. And the rest kind of takes care of itself, and away you go.
Mark, that's well said.
I think that is a difficulty for some people. They maybe don't have that personality. They're not really outgoing. So what is some of the things that you might say to somebody if you just happen to be in a room with somebody to start that conversation?
Well, it all starts off with a simple hello, for one thing. So hello, and how are you and stuff like that. And if you can bring up something, whether it's a current event or maybe even such as an article of clothing, compliments. Everybody loves compliments, I would think. You compliment on something, and then it kind of spirals into a conversation. Then 9 out of 10 times it always spirals into, what are you doing? Are you going to school? Are you working? What do you do? And then from there, there's that comfort level. Now you're communicating. Now there's that connection. And I understand what you're saying, Jane. I know some people are not comfortable with that. And I think there's other ways to channel that. And especially into real estate, when you're trying to drum up business, we have obviously one of these, if I can see, the Century 21 pins that I have here, right? So there's always ways of marketing yourself. And people ask me all the time, do you think in any industry, do you think this is the type of industry for introverts? And I say, absolutely. Introverts can communicate. They just have a different way of channeling their communication. They may not be able to speak openly, but there's other ways they can do it. And I found even in our brokerage, we have introverted people who actually do very, very well in the industry. Absolutely.
That's good. That's real good. It's funny. We can get so caught up in overcomplicating this job. In any job. I mean, it really comes down to people, and I like that. Being kind, that's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. So here's another question for you. So, 2020, it is what it is, right? It's been definitely something for the record books for sure. And what has COVID been like for the people up in Canada and you guys as an industry and all that? What does that look like for you guys up there?
Well, interesting. I didn't think it's any different than what's going on around the world. I think we're all doing what we can. We're all trying to protect ourselves. I mean, the fact that I'm actually coming into the office every day, and some people, we're an essential service like others, like healthcare. And I think for the most part, we've handled it quite well. Now, I won't kid you, like the rest of the world. I mean, cases are surging a little bit, but we're doing the best of a bad situation. And when it comes to real estate right now, I think agents are quite resilient. I mean, they're going out and they're going out meeting people, they're having meetings, they're going out, and showings have now been limited, obviously. And I know that there's areas within the Toronto area where showings are now, they're not happening. So it's virtual showings are taking place, virtual open houses are taking place as well. Showings are happening, but open houses, I should say, have basically ceased, and they're highly recommended that you don't do open houses for the most part.
Yeah. Are your agents doing like virtual open houses or anything?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Through Facebook and things like that? Sorry.
I was just
Go
going
ahead,
to say,
Jen.
so what other adaptations have your agents made or have you seen in your office to kind of handle things with everything being so different?
Well, everybody has a home office. So, I mean, they've been doing stuff from home. As we mentioned, they've been doing virtual open houses. They've been doing a lot with, Adam, you and Jane, you're probably familiar with BombBomb. So they've been using that as another platform to communicate with their agents. And there are virtual meetings. Zoom is a huge thing. I mean, Zoom has just taken off. So it's nothing that they can't handle as opposed to in an in-person setting, which I think is still happening, but it's very minuscule right now. But I think that as the technology soars, I think people are taking advantage of it. Absolutely. So I think there have been some really good things because real estate hasn't come to a halt at all. It's still going strong for the most part.
Yeah, that's good. I think we can relate to that on our end too. A lot of adaptations, but they've handled them quite well. So, so Mark, given your position with the office you're with and the recruitment and all that you do, what kind of characteristics and skills do you see, and attitudes, mainly attitudes in your agents that you kind of notice that maybe make them pretty successful in this industry?
Well, I try to keep an open mind, obviously. I mean, we don't want to be closed-minded and say that, that a specific type of person is suited to be an agent or even someone that can work in the industry. I think we got to take into account that they have an avid interest in it. I mean, it's fine when we interview agents and they say, well, I want to make a lot of money and I want to do this. And that could be a fairly good reason, I guess, or attribute as to why someone wants to be an agent. But I like to go for those who are really interested in connecting with people and being very, very interested in the industry. And we've interviewed a few agents who have actually surprisingly have said, I really love connecting with people. I love talking to people. And again, as I said earlier in the show, it doesn't seem like a chore to them. It's something that comes very natural to them. It's something they enjoy doing. And it's more important, it's something they really look forward to doing too. And to meet people, to make them, to understand the industry and to fulfill their dreams of owning a home is something that is very, very, it's to the heart. I think people really, really enjoy seeing that kind of success and seeing a big smile on a client's face when they purchase their dream home.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
all of our clients have such different personalities that I think, our agents have to have different personalities too, and some are a better fit for different types of clients.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. And and the funny thing is too is that passion, right? If you're passionate about something, then you're going to do the job and you're going to love what you do. And I think passionate is one of the best characteristics I found in agents that just go all out. They're very passionate about serving their clients. They're passionate about learning. They're passionate about just being in the office and learning from each other and connecting with people. And, I love passion in agents,
Yeah.
And
And if you
100%.
love if you
Go
love
ahead,
your
Jane.
job, if you love your job, you don't really feel like you're working, I think sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think Adam just hit the nail on the head by passion. I mean, I think passion is everything. And as long as you have that, and even if you don't, and I find I've discovered in some of our agents, if they don't have the complete innate ability to communicate with people, I mean, if they really want to do something and they have the passion for it, I think the rest can take care of itself. I've seen agents who don't particularly at the beginning do very, very well, only to just grow and grow and grow, only because they really feel passionate about it and they really want to do it. I think that really, really helps in the long run. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with those agents, Mark, what are some of the challenges do you think that they face, and how do you think they overcome those? What are you seeing?
Well, I think make no mistake, it's usually technology, and I think a lot of them are afraid of the technology. And this is where my role here comes in, is I can teach them the technology, all the features and tools that we have here. As you know, with Century 21, I think we have some of the best features, I think. I absolutely. And so when we introduce them to things like their website and how to navigate it, how to customize it, and how to access all their online courses, all the tools and resources, their marketing center. And you know what? There's nothing that thrills me more when to see the look of excitement on their face saying, wow, I can do this. It's not as hard and difficult as most people think it is. And I know that with Century 21, with the tools and features, they make it very seamless, which I think is something that we want to let their agents know that it's not difficult. And roughly, if they go through those platforms, they can basically navigate on their own. They can play around with it, and the rest takes care of itself. And then they're excited. I mean, when it comes to things like DocuSign, and when I show agents how to do this, and I'll get a call or an email saying, "Oh my God, Mark, this was wild. This is incredible." And there's nothing that gives me more pleasure than to see someone excited about the technology, knowing that they can actually move forward by being able to use the features and tools that are available to them.
Yeah,
that's
that's
good.
definitely the best part of my job is, when I can show an agent how to do something that's going to save them a bunch of time and that's going to, really be of help to them. I know you were talking about DocuSign. We use Dotloop, and in our offices, when that was first introduced, there was a big resistance. Like, oh my goodness, that's just too much information, too much to learn. It's too complicated. But some of those very same agents are our biggest advocates for, Dotloop now. They're like, we love it. It's amazing. So I think it really has helped.
It's the excitement, as I said. It's the excitement when you teach them something, when you teach them whether it's something like DocuSign or other platforms. When it comes to our technology, as I mentioned before, we have some of the best, and we mean that when we say that. And they soon discover that when they can go and navigate their website or navigate the educational platform to see the tools that are available to them, and when it excites them, it excites all of us here. It really does.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to move down the list here. I kind of want to get to this one here because I think this is a good one. There are so many brands out there, and what is it about Century 21 that you think that sets us apart as a franchise and as a brand compared to the other ones that makes us unique?
Oh, I can tell you right now, it's the people. And, with working with my broker of record owner, Shireen Prexta, and with, Claudia Middlestat, who is our broker manager, and Christopher Petrie, we believe that it's about people, really. It's about really attracting great people who have passion, as we mentioned before. And we are more like a family environment. And I'd like to say that on behalf of Century 21, basically, that most brokerages basically adapt to that type of family environment where we can reach out to our agents, they can reach out to us. There's no closed door policy, that we can all basically communicate together and help each other and support each other is what I think really makes us unique.
Yeah, that's good. Workplace, right? I mean, if you get on Workplace, you can connect with agents all across the country and the world and get advice and help on anything.
Yes.
And it's amazing the resources that are inside a Workplace as well. I mean, I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
And I think corporate does a good job of that too. If you were to call the help desk, they're always like, let us know if you need anything. We're happy to help. So I think, the company as a whole is really about service.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. It really, really is. So if anyone's got any questions for Mark, I mean, we kind of went through some of the questions, and but I want to have a Q&A. If you guys have any questions for Mark before he has to go, and drop them in the comments there. But I do want to throw this up there. Is this correct, Mark? Is this the...
Yeah, that looks like that's the one. Yeah.
All right.
That would be it.
So guys, if you want to see his podcast and listen to these short stories, I'm telling you, he's a good storyteller. Check it out. Right there it is. You can check it out on Spotify. Just put in the search bar, Mark My Words, a 2-minute podcast, and it should come up, and hit the subscribe button.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Tanya Foster says, I have taken advantage of the groups on Workplace. Good, Tanya. It's good to hear.
So, Mark, while we're waiting to see if agents have questions,
Sure.
do you have any advice for new agents? Any questions maybe we didn't ask you that you think would be a good thing to let everyone know?
The one thing I would like to let everyone know, and it probably seems very basic, but it's very simple, but it's also very important. Have fun. Have fun at what you do. I mean, just go out and have a blast, and have that mindset that what you're doing is going to be fun. Always wake up every morning with positive energy and enlightenment, and just go out and do what you need to do, and do it with a really good frame of mind. Because, we know that when sometimes we feel that we don't want to do something, we have to look back. It's just a mindset. We can always go out and do something and have fun at it. And it doesn't feel like work, and enjoy it, because it's what we do pretty much all day. And if you're doing something that you love, simply kind of don't look at it as work. Just look at it as I'm just going to have fun. So sometimes I tell people, you know what, I'm just going out to have fun. And you know what, I do. I really do most of the time.
I love that.
It's helpful to be around people with that attitude too, isn't it? I mean, if you're in a group of people where
Sure.
everyone's excited and happy and, you know, passionate about what they do, it kind of, you know, creates an excitement in you.
100%.
Looks like we got a question for you there from Tanya. Mark, what is your favorite way to market with our available Century 21 tools?
Oh, there's a number of ways. I think one of the best ways is, to be honest with you, word of mouth. I mean, we have agents. So we have a Tim Hortons just next door. We have agents that sometimes can't get past there without people seeing something like a name tag. And as I mentioned before, for those who are not comfortable approaching people, wear a name tag, a really nice fancy name tag with people. And you can wear this anywhere to say, you know what, I'm an agent or I'm a recruiter or whatever. And then again, it's all about a conversation ensuing. Sometimes word of mouth is the best way to market as opposed to the traditional type of marketing, as opposed to the tools that you can use on the Century 21 platform. I would say talk to as many people as you can, wear some Century 21 memorabilia. That always grabs the attention, I find. And usually on my recruitment ventures, I find it definitely works. Even if it means I don't open my mouth first, if I have something that attracts them, whether it's giving a card. And when it comes to cards, the one best advice I give is never give anybody just one card. Always give them 2 or 3. And the reason for that being is because if you give someone a card and you'd hope that at some point you become the topic of conversation. Well, now you've spurred interest in that person. It says, well, can I get their information? They have another extra card to give away and they can keep one for themselves. So anytime I encounter people when I'm recruiting, I'm always giving out more than 2 cards, at least 2 cards. That way they can give away some.
And that's where the tool would come in, right? I mean, the CRM. I mean, just having that as your core to run your business from. I mean, you know, it's making that initial contact and making sure you capture that information in return and then putting them on some kind of drip campaign in some way to then market to them and then trying to get, you know, back in front of them and build that relationship. So Mark, well said.
Yeah, with the name tag you were talking about, I've had that happen to me multiple times. I've had a name tag on and some random person will come up to me in the grocery store and say, "Hey, do you work at Century 21? Well, I've got a question," you know. Same thing with like the signs on my car. I have been sitting in a parking lot on my phone and people come and tap on my window, scare the, you know, daylights out of you, but they have questions, you know, they saw your car, they know you work with Century 21, they, you know, have questions. So
it works. I find it's highly
does work.
effective. It's very effective, I find.
Yeah. Well, Mark, awesome. Thank you again so much for coming on the Advantage Live show. I really appreciate having you here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you both for having me. I had a lot of fun. This was very, very fun and informative as well. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, man. And we would love to have you back if you're interested. So
absolutely, anytime.
Awesome, buddy. Okay. Well, in the meantime, have a good day, my friend, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
So, guys, there was a nice interview. Mark's a great man. You can kind of see his knowledge is there, and he knows what he's doing. And he's just, I think the advice he gave was really good. You know, you just got to connect with people, get out there and be in front of people, know people, you know, and be kind. I thought that was good.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. He's a great example of that. And he's just really fun to be around.
Yeah, he really is. So in the meantime, before we transition to the next segment, what I'm going to say is this. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or rang the bell, please do so now. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to hit the reminder button and also like our page. So, but now we're going to transition now to do a quick weekly real estate report. I'm going to share some slides of that, and then we'll get into our agent spotlight. So here we go. All right, so let's begin this weekly real estate report. This is going to be provided by the National Association of Realtors, and this report was coming right out of Lawrence Yunn's address that he gave about a week or so ago. So I'm going to run through some slides. Jane, we can just kind of talk about this as we go through it.
Great.
Oh, wait, this is the wrong one.
Was that last week's?
That is last week's. Hold tight.
So I'll just talk a little bit about NAR. If you haven't had an opportunity to go on their websites, they usually do have quite a few articles. Sometimes they have some tools and things that are generic that you can use for your marketing by, adding your logos and things too. So it's a great website for information.
Here we go. There we are. Thanks, Jane. So this is the existing home sales. You can kind of see what's happened here. Here we got 2018 back here, January of 2018. And you can kind of see what happened when the pandemic hit. Here we are. And then as soon as we kind of rolled out of that, as the year continued, there's July and August and September. Look at that upswing. Whew.
Yeah.
So home sales are going through the roof right now.
Yeah, we've had people buying homes that have never seen the homes. That's been a crazy new adjustment for us.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, a lot of people that have never owned a home, that had been renting for years, are now getting into the real estate market, or looking to buy. So that's good. New home sales. Here we go again. Another upswing. You can kind of see there's a trend going on here. Saying about the same time, May, June, July. So that's new homes, new construction. Pending contract breaking out higher. So back here in December of 2018 and January of 2019 is where we had a really strong season. And then you can kind of see where, again, the pandemic hit, but then all of a sudden, once this kind of started turning around, it started going up again, started increasing.
Yeah, with the adaptations that were made, where it was able to swing back up, I think.
Yep. It's very interesting to see what's happening. This is good stuff. Mortgage application to buy a home. There you go. Again, look what happened there in that market when we shut down. I mean, basically, we hit just nothing. Everyone quit applying for loans on an overall basis, but then we had an upswing again. We're coming back.
When it came back, it's actually higher than it was before it, went down.
Yep. 30-year mortgage rate. So you can see that trend there. Here we are, shoots up this way, and now it's coming down low. This was back in 2018, of January of 2018, and now here we sit in 2020, towards the end. Mortgage rates are well around the 3% and a little bit under 3% for the most part. So you can kind of see what's really going on here. The market is really ready for buyers, which is driving the home prices up, but then it's also creating a short inventory. And this is where that's coming from. So here we go. Month supply of existing home inventory. Here we are back in 2010. You can see the peak there and just watch that little line go down. There we are. September of 2020. There we sit.
Yeah.
Didn't you
say our inventory would, what we currently have would only last a few months if no more people were to list their homes?
Yeah, we're looking at about a 2-month window, and less in some markets, and maybe a little bit more in others, but right around the two months average. So if we were not to list anything right now, in about 2 months, we would be out of property.
Yeah, this price of lumber, I've talked to quite a few builders and they're kind of at an impasse. They don't really know what to do. Not only are the costs going up so high, but where during the pandemic, a lot of the factories that made windows and siding and building materials themselves were not functioning. And so not only did that drive the cost up, but now they're waiting, what they used to be able to get in a few days, they're waiting 5 and 6 weeks to get the materials now in some cases.
Yeah, and see, that's going to keep driving those prices up, and that delays the new construction for sure. All right. So we're going to begin the next segment. Thank you guys for watching just a quick little real estate report. I think Kathy is now ready. So we are going to transition over to our agent spotlight. All right, so I'm excited. We got Kathy Jones coming on here to talk about her business and what she's been up to in real estate. And Kathy is a sweet, sweet lady. I tell you what, she is genuine as I'll get out with her consumers and everybody that she comes into contact with. So I can't say enough good things about Kathy Jones. She is from our London office.
She's one of those agents you were talking about that's very passionate about what they do.
Yeah, she absolutely is. So, Kathy, without further ado, join the stream.
Yes. Hello, how are you all?
How are you,
Good
Kathy?
morning.
I'm good.
Glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Kathy, if you want to real quick, just give us a little rundown of who Kathy Jones is, how you got started in real estate, and all that wonderful stuff.
Well, most everyone knows I've always been an independent business owner. And at one point in my life, I decided that maybe I should look at something else. And real estate seemed like a really good fit. I felt like I was getting older. I needed something that I could continue to do, keep me fit and strong for my family. Married to Tim Jones, have 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 8 great grandchildren. So
Wow.
between all of that, it really helps me keep my life balanced. And I just love being in real estate. As you all said earlier with Mark, I love my job.
That is awesome, Kathy.
I've been with Century 21 since December of 2013. And I do believe in order to be successful in our work and in our lives, we all probably need a set of core values, so to speak. And I'd like to share mine with you because I think this sums up a whole lot.
Please do.
But every day I try to say this, and I live by the get by giving philosophy. I always try to make my clients' number one goal my number one goal. I live up to my standards despite temptations to lower them. I always try to be willing to work toward a common good with my fellow workers. And I do what I say I'll do, sometimes more, but just never less. So that kind of sums it up, I think.
Wow, Kathy, I love that. I'd say you embody that. Just
I
throughout
do
getting
try.
to know you.
I don't want to say
Yes.
that I accomplish it all the time, but I do try.
Oh, that was beautiful, Kathy. Thank you so much for sharing that. I totally agree with everything you just said about you. That is who you are. You're definitely accomplishing that.
So Kathy, I know you've had small businesses and you've always, had a business background. What was it about real estate that made you decide that that was the best fit for you?
I think because I do seem to be able to talk to people very easily. I'd already been in business many, many years, so everybody knew me. Um, uh, Business just started falling in my lap, to be quite honest with you, when I started. That doesn't mean I didn't have a lot to learn, and certainly asking for the business is where it's at.
That's good. So, what is something that is interesting about you that others just might not know, Kathy?
Well, one thing I'm very proud of is I'm a broker associate partner now with the Century 21 Career Path program. And I do develop systems to work by, and that doesn't mean that I always stick to them. I get calls out on the road and don't always have systems available. But I brought one with me today. I would like to share because I think it's really vital for us to become a producer instead of just a busy agent. I've been a busy agent for a long time. And I call it my valid buyer criteria checklist. And I believe that it helps me, and I think it could help other people too, if they haven't already developed it, to just stop wasting time with so many buyers that won't ever qualify to buy anything. And we've all dealt with those. If we've got time and you've got it up on the screen, there's just some yes and no questions. And in order to validate these buyers, we need to get at least 5 or 6 yeses out of this 10 list. And very quickly, the number one is, are they willing to come into the office or do a virtual chat? And with COVID, naturally, the willing to come into the office is not the best thing right now.
Right.
And then if you can get them to sign the exclusive buyer agency form. I know I'm scared of it, and I think a lot of agents, we just feel like we don't want to put them on the spot the minute we meet them to sign a buyer agency form. But at some point, we should at least bring it out and talk to them about it. They need to be pre-approved, pre-qualified, or ready to share financial information. So many times, that's one of the first things I say, are you pre-approved and what's your loan program? Oh, I'm fine. That's no problem. I'll get that. Well, we all know a lot of times nowadays, especially, you don't always get qualified for a variety of reasons. And then be ready, willing, and able to purchase. That's the number one thing in getting the sale and getting the closing. And not everybody is really ready, willing, or able. And then all
Kathy.
Makers present. There's so many times, the wife will say, well, I'll look at it, and if I like it, we'll get my husband to come look the next time. So there you've already set yourself up for 2 showings of the same property, and they may not buy it. They need to be motivated. They need urgency. And offers that are non-contingent. So many times, if you have to sell your home before you can buy, it makes it a little harder. You just about need an offer, an accepted offer on your home to get a seller to sign a contract with you. And then willing to spend time with you to find the right home. They let you show them one home and they're not your client anymore. They found a new agent. So we want them to try to make a connection with us and be willing to spend that time with us. And the last one, which probably should be the first one, is that you really like them. You need to work with people you like. And
that's good.
So that's what I try to have out for my buyers, to validate them so that I'm not wasting the time that I so often have wasted. Just trying to, trying to help somebody that really is not ready or can't be ready.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
a great
something.
sheet. So that allows you to, if you have that available when you first start talking to a client, that allows you to fill out all that information, kind of like a database for you, where you can then transfer that information over, onto your drip campaigns and stuff. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, I love it, Kathy.
So Kathy, tell us a little bit about some of the successes that you've had in real estate and maybe some memorable moments in real estate for you.
Well, I've been very fortunate that I have had enough training, and hopefully my personality and everything else. I've achieved the Century 21 Master's Level Award every year since 2016. So I'm very proud of that. And I've been able to attend the Top Agent Retreat. And that does really it gives you a break, it gives you a vacation, but it gives you some added information that you can put into your business. And I think at least one of the most memorable moments was when I got the CRS, the Council of Residential Specialists designation. And that's the highest credential that you get awarded in this industry. And it has all but skyrocketed my business. I feel like it, just the connections, the networking, and everything that goes with accomplishing the CRS.
I would agree. That is it takes a lot of diligence and hard work and commitment to do that. So well done.
A certain amount of sales that you have to make in a certain period of time. And I thought when I started it, I would never get it. I truly thought I would never get it. And I got it. So anybody can do anything, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, I would agree.
Hard work. I know that's a lot of work. So you put a lot into that. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. So, Kathy, out of all the other brokerages and models that are out there, what was it about Century 21 that made you decide to affiliate with us?
Well, I truthfully got into real estate through the encouragement of my mother-in-law, Jimmy Jones, and she's one of the Century 21 family as well. I immediately realized that the value of being with a franchise that treats you like family, and a franchise like Century 21, having a non-competing principal broker like Steve Robinson is so hard to find. So I felt very fortunate that my mother-in-law encouraged me to choose Century 21.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy.
So Kathy, can you think of any one decision or one turning point in your life that kind of brought you to where you are now?
Well, besides everything we've already been talking about, I do believe the master sales training from Floyd Whitman that I took a few years ago really helped me pull together everything else that I had learned in real estate. And my saying is, I had the words, but Floyd Whitman gave me the music. And
That's
that's
awesome.
exactly how I felt. It was like putting a song together. And it just gave me so many answers to go with all the words that I had and to put them into action. So I think to me, that's one of the most important, or at least it helped me pull everything together.
Yeah,
That's
I've
good.
taken those classes and like you said, you had all the knowledge, but they kind of make you put it into action in those classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So, Kathy, we were setting up these questions, and being Kathy, this was great. I emailed her the questions, and she emailed me back. She goes, "If it's okay, I have a question for you." So I'm ready, Kathy. You ask
All
us a
right. My
question.
question to you, Adam, is what do you consider one of the best CRM systems for us to use? And can you give us a word of encouragement to help us commit to get our CRM up and running and keep it up to date daily, or at
Love
least
it.
several times a week?
Awesome. Well, the CRM question. So here's what I'll say to that. It's going to be the one you use,
Yeah.
for sure. There's many models out there, many different types. I mean, there's the old school paper pen. You got the poster board option. We've got the two inside of Century 21, Zap, and Business Builder. So those, to me, the Business Builder one is more or less your go-to for incubating, getting those people more qualified. Once they become qualified, you put them into the Zap. The Zap, basically gives you the ability to really see what they're looking for and go a little bit deeper with the consumer and deliver the properties that they want to see. So that's kind of my advice on the CRM. The one you use for sure. And then I do encourage eventually, once you get down to working with paper and pen, to transition over into, a digital version, just because it's a little more accessible and nothing gets fallen through the cracks. And I like tags or groups, making sure to tag and group everything, and categorizing them correctly. So that's again where the CRM would come into play. But again, the one you use, start there. The words of advice that I would give is this. It's going to be twofold, and it's a process. So I would say you need to be really good at just figuring out a set time in your schedule. Even if it's just one day a week, and you're religious about that, block that time off and say, this is when I am going to put people in my CRM. It's when I'm going to touch base with people in my CRM. It's when I'm going to add them to drip campaigns or whatever. So that to me is the number one tip that I can give. But what I'll also say is taking that one step farther and really looking at where you spend your time throughout the whole entire week. Because that will help you to be able to allocate that time correctly. Because what I encourage you to do is do that with your CRM every single day. But you got to start somewhere. So instead of being overwhelmed about it, pick a day to enter in every single contact you can think of and just focus on getting them into the system and then begin to market to them over time. But pick a day and then little by little keep adding more days. That way you get a little bit more of a habit. And that's what you're really trying to develop is that habit. You got to get that habit down pat to be able to be consistent with it. So,
Yeah,
great
I'll
question,
add
Kathy.
to that. Kathy, if you haven't picked a CRM yet and you're not sure which one you're going to be most comfortable with, put all of your people in an Excel spreadsheet, a comma delimited Excel spreadsheet, because that will allow you to import and export that information into any CRM that you want to use. So maybe start there. That way you always have a backup. So if you decide you want to change systems, you can do that and you have that information in your spreadsheet. And, Adam was talking about getting a specific time, setting that time aside. You were talking about the classes that you took, and that's a really big thing in the Wickman program is that you do time blocking. And so they have a really good time blocking schedule that they use, but any time that you can schedule your week and kind of stick with that schedule and allowing time for prospecting and allowing time for your showings and clients and your paperwork, I think that will make a big difference in your business right there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Very good answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the whole important thing about it. And to me, I like planning. I think we put so much emphasis on watching our money, but we don't put as much emphasis as watching our time. And you've heard the adage, "Time is money," and it's the thought and the mindset where you go into QuickBooks or you go into your bank account and you look and see what that money is and where it all went. That's the same exact concept you need to do when you're looking at your time management, because your bank account is 100% reflection of how you manage your time. So, and in our industry, the only thing that matters is contacts. I mean, it's people. So, just like your bank account, the only thing that matters is the pennies and dollars. The only thing that matter is your time in real estate and the people you are engaging with on a daily basis. So, we got to get religious about our time. We got to focus on our time and dedicate that time to prospect and follow up and all that. So, Kathy, great question. I mean, that's really good.
Talking about time, Kathy, there may come a point in your career where your time is better spent in front of the client. So you might at some point decide you want an assistant that's going to take care of the CRMs and some of the legwork or office work for you, to free up time for you to be out doing what you do so well and meeting with the clients and actually doing the sales.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Deborah, you're right. You never get time back. That's right.
Yeah.
And Kathy, this is for you. There you go. Steve says, Kathy is a champion of note. She loves education and is always learning. Couldn't agree more. I mean, it was like every time I went into the office over there, it's like, oh, Kathy's taking this class. Oh, Kathy's enrolled in this class. I mean, I think you've taken the full education spectrum.
I'm just about done with every designation.
That's great.
At home with diversity, and it's so worth it, and it's half price, or it was. So
yeah, I took that one. That's a good class.
Yeah,
it's relevant. So Deb did have a question here. Deborah asked, on Kathy's checklist sheet, does she have a score where she walks away? Mine usually do. I like them. So does yours have a score or anything
yes and no. If there are not at least 5 or 6 yeses, depending on whatever, I either put them on a drip campaign. I don't just kick them out totally, but yeah, they have to hit at least 5 for me to spend a lot of time with them. And that 5 might depend, because some people are one way and some people are another. But you need to be able to have 5 yeses to have a valid buyer. Doesn't mean
that sheet
so my
kind of
score would be 1 through 10, and 5 being the cutoff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that sheet will kind of help you gauge the urgency of how quickly that buyer is going to buy too. I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's good. Kathy, thank you so much. And before we let you go, what is the best way that you can be reached?
You can call or text me, 606-909-3114.
There it is, guys. There's her email. Feel free to reach out to her if you're looking to buy, sell real estate. Reach out to Kathy. She is in the London market and she works pretty much the whole surrounding area. So give her a call. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kathy.
Have a great day.
It's good to see you.
Too.
Awesome. Well, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode. I do want to say this. There was a comment here, Jane. See, oh yeah, Deborah Rocky says, Jane, your tree is pretty.
Thank you.
That's awesome. It is pretty. I really like it.
Thanks.
I like it in the background, and your home is beautiful. It's bright and lit up. So,
Yeah,
all right, guys, before we close out the show, be sure and hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Like and comment as much as you possibly can so we can comment back. We like the engagement. And also be sure and, share this video to all your friends and on your Facebook and YouTube channels and stuff as much as you want. So we look forward to doing this again. And I will add, so next Friday, we'll be doing this again at 10:30. Our special guest is actually going to be Donna Gregridge, which is our coach down there in our London office. She's going to come on and talk about kind of how she got started in real estate and all that. We will then take a couple week break. We got Christmas and the New Year's, so we will not be having a live show then. But then the following week, that is the 8th, we're going to have Jonathan Knight, and I'll give you a little teaser about him. He is the #1 selling agent in West Virginia. He's only been in the industry for about, this is his second or maybe his third, but his second or third year in real estate, and he has sold over 60 units already. So he's coming on the show to kind of give us some advice on how he does that. So mark your calendars for January 8th, and we'll be going over that whole system that he's got developed, and it should be a really, really good show.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Donna. She's super fun. If you haven't spent time with Donna, she's very infectious, happy personality. She's fabulous.
Yeah. Good deal. Awesome, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you next Friday. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.